Good evening and a very warm welcome to this virtual World Quality Week 2021 celebrations. As a part of today's event on the theme of sustainability, we have a very interesting lineup of individuals and groups who have walked the talk on sustainability. But before we get to these events, what is this World Quality Week all about? And what is the Quality Forum who's organizing this event? To answer these questions, let me call upon the chairman of the Quality Forum, Mr. Natarajan Guruswamy. A brief introduction about him. Mr. Natarajan is a chemical engineer by training, started his career with the R&D department of Hindustan Unilever and went on to spend 3 decades at Indophil Industries Limited, handling a wide variety of responsibilities therein. He is a consultant on quality and is also actively involved in training on quality management systems. Over to you, Mr. Natarajan.
Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to the virtual celebration by Quality Forum on the occasion of World Quality Week, which was earlier World Quality Day. For those of you who are attending the program conducted by Quality Forum for the first time, Quality Forum is a non-profit organization established in the year 2004 and inaugurated by the then Secretary General of Quality Council of India, Dr. Girdhar Gyani. Main objective of Quality Forum is to spread the message of quality across all walks of life: manufacturing, service, education, hospitals, to name a few. Through the expertise of its members with hands-on experience, Quality Forum has conducted seminars and workshops on a variety of topics covering energy saving, quality management systems, measurement management systems, etc. Some members have been active even during the COVID-19 pandemic and conducted online training programs on measurement related subjects, key to ensure reliability of measurements and appropriate decisions. Over the years, Quality Forum has been honoring eminent persons in the field of quality by conferring upon them Lifetime Achievement Award. Past recipients of this award include Mr. C.B. Chandorkar, former DDG BIS, Mr. Basudev Banerjee, President, National Center for Quality Management, Dr. A.K. Chakraborty, Founder Director NABL, Mr. Suresh M. Lulla, Founder and Mentor Quimpro Consultants. Another important activity of Quality Forum has been conducting World Quality Day on the 2nd November of every year from the year 2009 based on a theme given by Chartered Quality Institute UK. Past themes were making collaborations count, building a world quality together, operational governance, everyday leadership, quality a question of trust, 100 years of quality, creating customer value. Theme for this year, as given by Chartered Quality Institute UK, is sustainability, improving our products, people, and planet. Sustainability is a very broad subject. It requires judicious use of resources available to mankind, such as money, immovable property, intellect, and natural resources such as water and earth, so that even the future generations can have a cleaner environment to live. There are certain issues related to sustainability, such as climate change, global warming, greenhouse gas emissions, renewable sources of energy, etc. These are best dealt with by climate experts. But suffice it to say that all of us, government, industry, and citizens, have to act proactively to save this planet and its inhabitants from further disasters such as flash floods, forest fires, groundwater contamination, polluted air, to name a few. COVID-19 pandemic has overtaken air pollution menace in making wearing of facial masks compulsory across the globe. However, even after the COVID-19 reaches its end, if air pollution menace continues, facial masks will continue to be mandatory. About 20 years back, when our friends and relatives used to visit us from abroad with a bottle of mineral water in their hand and insist on mineral water to be served, we used to get surprised and at times irritated, saying that they are very fussy. Now, mineral water has become a necessity in India, thanks to the water supplied by municipal corporations being of doubtful quality. Bottled mineral water is now available even in the remotest village. All of us notice a distinct change in the climate in the form of erratic weather. Unseasonal or delayed or prolonged rains or summer. Weather has become dishonest, so to say. September 15 is celebrated as Engineers Day in memory of Sir M. Visvesvaraya, an eminent civil engineer. However, very little attention has been paid to the suggestion made more than 70 years ago by him to connect all the rivers across the country so that water from rivers which are in surplus can be diverted to those in deficit. Instead, politicians are claiming ownership of rivers originating in their state and refusing to share water with neighboring states. As a result, during heavy monsoons, rivers overflow and flood the nearby villages, leading to loss of life and property. Is this not a man-made disaster? Disasters such as forest fires, flash floods, global warming due to carbon dioxide emission, etc., are now considered by climate experts as man-made. On the other hand, personnel from insurance companies, whether they believe in God or not in their personal life, look at these disasters as act of God and hence damage claims from individuals or families affected by these disasters are not entertained. It will be interesting to see how insurance companies will react to this conclusion of climate experts, considering the fact that the issue of global warming, climate change, etc., have become matter of concern across all nations. Replacing conventional fossil fuels such as coal and oil by renewable sources of energy, namely solar, wind, or tidal power, is the key to contain carbon dioxide emission and thus minimize global temperature rise. In India, we are witnessing over the past year a continuing increase in price of petrol and diesel. Whatever be the reason for this increase, it should be looked upon as an opportunity to stop using petrol or diesel driven vehicles and instead resort to carpool or public transport or non polluting option of bicycles. Before I hand over to Mr. Shivakumar to proceed with the rest of the program, I would like to place on record my sincere appreciation of the efforts put in over the years by Mr. Basudev Bhattacharya, Honorary Secretary of Quality Forum, to make Quality Forum an organization of repute amongst quality professionals. From establishing Quality Forum in 2004, overcoming several technical, commercial, and legal issues in the initial stages, to guiding today's virtual presentation, Mr. Bhattacharya has been the motivating force. His passion for quality can be summarized simply as he talks quality, he walks quality, he loves quality. Over the years, many members have joined and left, or rather become inactive. But Mr. Bhattacharya has stood like the boy on the burning deck and made sure that the activities of Quality Forum continue with the members who continue to get involved. Through this message, I request the persons, members of Quality Forum or other invitees who are viewing this visual presentation to spare a thought and decide to participate actively in any manner convenient to them in the activities of Quality Forum and infuse new blood and thinking. This virtual presentation from Quality Forum contains talks by experts with hands on experience in dealing with sustainability issues. Over to Mr. Shiv Kumar.
Thank you, Mr. Natarajan, for giving the details of the event and also laying down the theme of sustainability and what it entails. Of course, these are tough times for the planet, as everybody is very well aware of. It's customary to start any event with an invocation or a prayer to the gods. And today we have that, but with a slight twist. Indian culture has sustainability at its core, and sustainability and protection of the environment is a way of life, especially with ancient India. And this is very beautifully reflected in the Vedas that were composed more than 2500 years ago. I invite my next speaker, Mr. Sudarshan Srinivasan, to expound on this connection of the Vedas and sustainability by reciting the hymns and the shlokas and also giving their meanings. Mr. Sudarshan is a mechanical engineer by training and also a MBA. He has worked in organizations like L&T, Cipla, and is presently employed with Glenmark Pharmaceuticals. The chanting of the Vedas, researching into them and teaching is a passion and hobby of Mr. Sudarshan. And so without any further ado, let me invite him for this invocatory Veda session with sustainability.
It is remarkable that the people in Vedic times regarded nature and the environment in a holistic manner and revered each of its components and entities through careful preservation. Quote, "Do not harm the environment, do not harm the water and the flora. Earth is my mother, I am her son. May the waters remain fresh, do not harm the waters. Tranquility be to the atmosphere, to the earth, to the waters, to the crops and vegetation." Unquote. This Vedic prayer invokes divine intervention to bless and protect the environment. The protection of the environment was understood to be closely related to the protection of heavens and Prithvi or earth. Between these two lies the atmosphere and the environment that we refer to as the Paryavaran. Many of the Rigvedic hymns vividly describe the Dhyava Prithvi, heaven earth together. The Rigveda explains the deities, that is Mitra, Varuna, Indra, Maruts and Aditya, that are responsible for maintaining the balance and functioning of all the entities of nature. Vedas perceive that any change in the nature caused due to indiscreet human activities could result in imbalance in the weather, rainfall patterns and crops, and may pollute earth, air and water. There are so many hymns seeking the blessings of the 5 gross elements of life or the Pancha Mahabhutas of nature. A verse from the Rigveda states that, quote, "The sky is like father, the earth like mother, and the space as their son. The universe consisting of the three is like a family, and any kind of damage done to any of the three throws the universe out of balance." Unquote. Another verse from the Rigveda says that, quote, thousands and hundreds of years if you want to enjoy the fruits and happiness of life, then we must take systematic planting of trees. Unquote. These verses carry a message to desist from inflicting any injury to the earth and therefore embark upon a mass destruction of the environment. On the contrary, it is important to ensure that we follow sustainable practices to be able to maintain the ecological balance of this planet. For any inadvertent action leading to Earth's excessive exploitation, the seers prayed for forgiveness. Quote, "Whatever I dig from thee, O earth, may that have quick recovery again, O purifier. May we not injure thy vitals or thy heart." Hymn number 12, Shloka number 34, Atharva Veda, Prithvi Sukta. The seers of Rig Veda speak on behalf of earth for its principle of replenishment. Quote, "You give me and I give you." They look at every entity of nature with the eyes of a friend and sympathizer. Quote, "Mitrasyaham chakshushaha sarvani bhutani samikshe." Unquote. In the Atharva Veda, Prithvi Suktam, Shlok number 12, the Vedic seer solemnly declares that the enduring filial allegiance of humankind to Mother Earth, quote, "Mata Bhumi Putroham Prithivyaha," unquote, which means, "Earth is my mother and I am her son." It can be understood that Vedic society was the first environment protection society in the history of mankind. In Vedas, we find the concept that everything in the world has life in it, whether it is living or non-living. Veda begins with the worship of the gods of nature. Akashat patitam toyam yada gacchati sagaram. The Atharvana Veda also mentions about the importance of air, water and green plants essential for human existence. Although there was no such concept of the word pollution those days, but it was referred in terms of poisoning of the environment. The Atharvana Veda, verse 18.17, recalls that three things cover the universe: the air, water, and the plants, and they are essential for all the lives on earth to exist. Plants and herbs destroy poisons or pollutants. This is mentioned in Atharvana Veda, verse 8, paragraph number 7.10. Similarly, Atharvana Veda, verse 8, paragraph number 2.25 also says that the purity of atmosphere checks the poisoning or pollutants. The Yajurveda too mentions about plants and animals, the ill effects of cutting of trees and the poisoning of the atmosphere, but it also discusses about energy relations of the global ecosystem. Presently, various acts and laws have been enacted for the sake of the environment and its protection, and various principles have evolved by the active judiciary, casting an obligation upon the persons to save, protect and conserve environment. But about 3000 years ago, the sages have recited the following verse.
Om Dyav ShantirantarikshamShantihi Prithvi Shantirapa Shantiroshadaya Shantihi Vanaspataya Shantirvishve Deva Shantirbrahma Shanti Sarvam Shanti Shantireva Shanti Sama Shantiredi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
That was excellent, Mr. Sudarshan, for exploring this connection between the Vedas and sustainability. And yes, we as Indians, sustainability and protection of the environment is a way of life, but maybe in the last decade or more than that, we have somehow forgotten and find ourselves in this dire situation today as far as the climate is concerned. Let's move on to the next segment, and this is a very unique experiment, I would call it, which tackles the problem of sustainability right at the root. And I am inviting Mrs. Priyanka Panhalkar to talk about this. I won't introduce her because, as you will see, her work and what she has done over the last several years with children will speak for itself.
Hello everyone. Warm Diwali greetings to you all. At the outset, let me thank Mr. Shiv Kumar and Mr. Bhattacharya for inviting me to address you all on this August forum. I am Priyanka Panhalkar, one of the co-founders of Kalpavruksha School. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, but rather borrow it from our children, goes an old proverb. Keeping this in mind, we at Kalpavruksha strive to instill environmental sensitivity in our children through all our activities. Being a trained architect myself, I had realized almost a decade or so ago that development sans sensitivity can lead to devastating consequences. In fact, this was the prime reason for starting Kalpavruksha with a few like-minded people. There can be nothing more grassroots than a school to initiate a change in the social fabric. To achieve our goals, we have chosen to subscribe with the internationally acclaimed Steiner Waldorf pedagogy, which in itself works towards instilling these values in the children. Our learning facilitators continuously strive to provide quality through all their teachings. We have activities like gardening, handwork, farming, etc. happening across the grades in the school. So without much ado, let us step inside our school to understand the way we work. Thank you.
Let's now see how sustainability is catered to in all the grades in Kalpavruksha. Throughout the early childhood and grade level programs, the Waldorf curriculum embraces and explores the awe and wonder of the natural world. At the kindergarten level, the children at Kalpavruksha use natural materials. They use natural materials made from wood, wool, cotton, silk, sand, beeswax, and clay to develop an appreciation for natural substances through sensory experience. As they progress to grade 1 and 2, they begin with nature stories, and this helps them to connect with the nature. In grade 3, they move on to farming. At the farm, students have the opportunity to learn many basic skills that are rapidly becoming lost in today's industrialized society. By tending soil, turning the compost, planting perennial gardens, harvesting vegetables for soup, caring for farm animals, pruning and grafting, each student gains a deeper awareness of the natural world. The children are also given the opportunity to do house building. They build their own home, and this is a project where they use variety of options of different traditional houses and other building structures. Each house presented to the class where they outline their process of gathering the materials and building their house. In grade 4, the curriculum addresses their need to move beyond themselves while they cultivate a warm human connection with the environment. For example, early science lessons introduce them to the animal kingdom in relation to the human being. Local geography block allows the children to explore the surroundings and become aware of the local areas. In grade 5, botany follows as they learn to observe the characteristics of various plants and environmental conditions in which they thrive. Students observe, draw, and paint the unfolding phases of plant growth from root to leaf to flower. At Kalpavruksha, Environmental care and consciousness towards it are woven into the weekly rhythms of the curriculum. This helps to develop and instill earth-friendly practices in students, and they follow them throughout their lives. Among practices, the students reduce, reuse and recycle. They learn to make Amrit Mitti, maintain and take care of the plants. Through weekly gardening classes, students learn to love and respect nature and understand their responsibility in taking care of the earth. Kalpavriksha Day is celebrated with tree plantation. In handwork session, which again is a weekly session, all natural materials are used. Everything made has a purpose and can be used. For example, the running stitch with cotton thread on a cotton piece of cloth is made into a sling bag which the children can proudly carry and keep their handwork yarns and needles. Weaving is done with cotton yarn made into a pouch to keep crayon or color pencils. Coconut shells scraped and wound with cotton yarn make for good chalk holders or diya holders. Reusing old t-shirts and to make yarn, and they make coasters out of it. The students use their painting sheets to cover the task books and drawing books, to make lanterns, use them as gift wrapping paper, envelopes, etc. Cooking. Cooking is yet another session where the children learn no waste cooking. Children make coconut and jaggery filled modaks during Ganesh festival. Coconut shells are washed, scraped by the children, and these shells are used to make musical instrument with various dry seeds in it. And when it comes to environmental care, Kalpavriksha ensures that utmost care is taken in every way towards a sustainable environment. The water used in the school to sweep the floor is used to water the plants and pots in and around the school.
Thank you, Mrs. Panhalkar and the entire team of Kalpavriksha School. It is indeed heartening to see how minutely the curriculum and the activities of children are so much oriented towards sustainability. It's really appreciated. Thank you again. Now, let's move on to the next part. And after all this talk, let us have some entertainment, but again, sustainable entertainment. And to do that, I invite Mrs. Padmini Radhakrishnan and her students of the Saundarya Natya Kalalaya. Mrs. Padmini Radhakrishnan is an accomplished dancer and singer and the founder of Saundarya Natya Kalalaya, which is more than 3 decades old and has trained hundreds of students in the art form of Bharatanatyam. She has several performances to her credit, and her students are now running classes all across the globe. So she has explored again this theme of sustainability in a unique way and has tried to bring it out through this expression of dance.
Have you observed a lotus flower? A lotus flower emerges from a murky pond, but one cannot fail to see the beauty of this exquisite flower. A lotus is associated with beauty, fertility, prosperity, spirituality, eternity, and sustainability. What is sustainability? Sustainability is to choose the right path to be successful. Sustainability is to have innovative ideas and thoughts that keep you ahead and above others. Sustainability is to face challenges and hurdles and emerge victorious. The life cycle of a lotus is unique. With its roots latched in mud, a lotus submerges every night into the water and reblooms the next morning sparklingly clean. This re-emergence shows the unwavering, fascinating will of the lotus to live. That is, the lotus has chosen the right path to be successful. Not only does it find sanctuary in the mud, but due to the waxy coating layer on its petals and leaves, its beauty is totally unaffected when it reblooms each morning. This shows the innovative ideas and thoughts that the lotus has taken to be above others. Whenever there is a turbulence in the water, whenever there is a strong wind and storm, a lotus stem bends and prevents the flower from getting damaged. This shows the ability to face challenges and hurdles and emerge victorious. A lotus, the best example for sustainability. Deem tadana tillana tillana nadrudeem deem nadrudeem 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 tadana tillana tillana nadrudeem deem nadrudeem 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 tadana tillana tillana nadrudeem 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 tadana tillana tillana nadrudeem Nadrudeem, 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 tadana tillana tillana nadrudeem. Nadrudeem, 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 tadana tillana tillana nadrudeem. Nadrudeem, 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 tadana tillana tillana nadrudeem. Nadrudeem, 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 tadana tillana tillana Nadrudeem, nadrudeem, Lord Gautama Buddha gave the world the Eightfold Path and imparted the importance of training and practicing it. He taught that training of mind includes ethical training, self-restraint, and meditative practices. Lord Gautama Buddha's life shows us that sustainability is ensuring the appropriate material well-being. Deem, deem, tad, deem, deem, tad, deem, tad, tirana, tillana, tillana, tada, tirana, deem, deem, tad, deem, tad, tirana, tillana, tillana, tada, tirana, deem, deem, tad, deem, tad, tirana, tillana, sustainability is innovative thoughts and big ideas. A man with a simple beginning but with big dreams and creative thoughts and a clear vision to take the nation ahead. We bow down to this rocket scientist, Dr. Abdul Kalam, and we offer our salute and a humble salam. Sustainability is achievement. Sustainability is to overcome all hurdles and reach one's goal and widen the path for everyone to follow. Our country's highest civilian awards are the Padma Awards, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan. Our country chose this beautiful flower, lotus, as our national flower to show the sustainability of our country. Jai Hind.
That was indeed wonderful. What a innovative concept and a brilliant execution. A big round of applause to Mrs. Padmini Radhakrishnan and her students of the Soundarya Kalalaya for putting up this dance item on sustainability for the World Quality Week event. Moving on to the last segment of today's event is again what an individual can do to take on this task of protecting the environment. Many times we will be feeling this climate change, what is happening around us is so big an issue that we as individuals can hardly do anything to change it. But the next, I would say, sustainability champion proves or disproves exactly this statement. She is a one-woman army, literally, and now of course she has a big foundation to spearhead her activities on single-handedly trying to make a difference in this fight against climate change. let me invite Mrs. Firoza Suresh. Again, I will not introduce her formally because as you will see through the segment, her work speaks volumes. So over to this, the last segment for today's event.
Hi, my name is Firoza and I am the first bicycle mayor of Mumbai. Cycling has been very purposeful for me. I still remember I got a second-hand bicycle and that gave me immense amount of joy. That bicycle was my own. I could use it wherever I want, however I want. 2018, when I had gone to a slum, a nearby slum very close to my house, and I saw these kids playing over there with absolutely, cycles were very bad, very rusted, and I just casually asked them that, will you come along with me cycling to Juhu Beach? I would love to take you out. And they readily said yes. But there was a challenge. The challenge was half of the children didn't have bicycles out there. I took it as a task. I said, okay, fine, if this is how it is, let me go out and put up a word in social media. If anybody wants to donate a cycle or a used bicycle, or their kids have outgrown their bicycles, if they can donate the bicycles to me. Overwhelming response from people across Mumbai. Till the time I had to say, okay, I have enough. The task in hand is not getting those bicycles. The task in hand is also refurbishing these bicycles. And definitely you require volunteers and you require some amount of donation or funding for getting the cycles perfect to be donated, because on an average one bicycle I need close to about 600 to 800 rupees for refurbishing those bicycles. Whereas if you talk about new bicycles, the cost could come to anything between 3,500 to 4,000 rupees for a new bicycle. Pandemic was definitely I would say major conversation point because of coronavirus. Definitely there was a spike of close to 35% increase of cyclists which I saw in Mumbai city. That means when I go out on the road right now and I blink and I see as many cyclists. When people are working from home, they need to have some kind of physical activity, and cycle was the best form of activity with social distancing. In my 8 years of journey, if I'm hopeful, is only that I see 1 lakh cyclists by 2023. We've almost reached there thanks to the pandemic, but the continued momentum is something which I will always worry of. We as a foundation, Smart Commute Foundation, under the Cycle Chala City Bachao program, we have pledged that every month we will donate 50 bicycles to the kids and people who require it for their livelihood, for commuting in Mumbai. So I have all of these food delivery boys in Mumbai who are delivering their foods on a bicycle. We have donated bicycles to them, only looking at the bicycle. So whenever I used to go out and I see their bicycle, it's all rusted. I said, I should reach out to them. I said, okay, fine. Can I take that bicycle of yours and give you a new bicycle? The joy on their face, to just see that expression from nowhere. This lady just talks to me and say, okay, I will give you a new bicycle. That was enough for us to share the joy of giving and joy of cycling for Mumbai city. And we would continue doing this because of our vision to make Mumbai the cycling capital of India by 2030.
Thank you, Firoza, for agreeing to talk to our viewers. Many of us do cycling, but you have taken it to the next level, as it were. So just tell us a little bit about your cycling background.
For me, I guess it was a means of commute, as simple as that. For me, it was for saving money for my family and for myself. I just took out my bicycle for college and running errands for my family. I never knew that this is a sustainable living at that point of time. For me, it was just a way of life. But when I got back into cycling in 2009, and then I realized that commuting is such a big problem in Mumbai city, where you have to endlessly wait for the first and last mile, wait for the rickshaws and wait for the bus to come. I said, you know what, this is not the life which I want to lead. Just picked my bicycle one day from my home to my workplace, which is a distance of 12 kilometers. I said, after that I did not look back. Did it for myself, didn't realize that I could probably be a part of the change making. Till one day it just when I went as a speaker in Amsterdam, and when I saw that city, and I said, when I came back after that seminar, and people were only talking about bicycles over there. The whole Velocity conferences was policy makers, leaders, evangelists, advocacy groups who just came for the conference, and all they were talking about how we need to evolve our city into cycling. For me, as a subject of cycling, I thought my city, how do I bring about the change? It's an uphill task. Look at the state of affairs. We don't have even good roads. My city is full of potholes. For me to dwell on the subject and now to rethink and reclaim some part of my city, to build up a cycle track just like Amsterdam. If I had to talk about cut paste model, I'm like, okay, fine. And it was overwhelming for me. When I came back to Mumbai after the Amsterdam trip, I just had my son sitting in front of me, because I was discussing how the city was and how I enjoyed the city very much, and I looked up to him and said, you know what, I think Mumbai is born in the wrong country. But then he saw and he said, Mama, you will bring about the change for our city. I think since 2017, I did not look back. I quit my corporate job and I dedicated my full time. I started my own foundation, which is Smart Commute Foundation, full time into the space of working towards a vision which was organically developed for me. Because I've been a cyclist, I really didn't know how I need to put in interventions or put up an action plan for the city, where we are still trying to have fun engagements like flash mobs, and we had award functions, which was very good, because that award functions for cycle to work people for Mumbai city who are from the corporate world, for them to for us to give them a platform to come together, that yes, you are an important person, important cyclist from the corporate world. You are the ones who are ambassadors, true ambassadors, who will take this forward, even if there are few numbers. We were a singular voice to what I would say is, when a plane is in a takeoff mode.
Yeah.
They were all of those modes which were trying to tell me that whatever we are doing is good enough. We'll continue doing it. Small numbers when we started off putting up the cycle to work conversations. We approach corporates, because corporates is important when we talk about last mile, first mile, when we talk about short distance commutes. When a person just picks up a car or a bike for a distance of 7 to 8 kilometers, it had to be addressed. And also understanding the mode share of our city. Our mode share is 51% walk and cycle in Mumbai city.
That's amazing.
Every city has their own mode shares. So ours is 3% people cycle in Mumbai city. So for 3%, if you have to have a growth of 9 or 8%, you have to put up an action plan towards that growth. So we also realized that in that space, 22% of people travel in that commute space for a short distance of 7 to 8 kilometers. Now that's a huge number to address, 22%. I said, if we only pick up that particular percentage and try and get them to adopt cycling for that distance, it is a good enough interventions, a good enough message which we could give it to Mumbai city. I guess that was a thought. We never wanted a person traveling from Vasai Virar to Churchgate on a bicycle. That was never the intention.
It's almost 60 kilometers.
It's a mammoth task, and by the time the person will reach, he would want to go back to sleep when he reaches the office. And also understand, Shiv, that our climate, we have a humid climate. So that means when you reach an office, you need to have a shower facility, which we don't have currently.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult. So when all of these cycle to work ambassadors, they had their own challenges to reach an office, but they overcame. They understood quickly that when if I have to go to that distance, travel that distance, I'm going to sweat. I need to take a change. I need to needs to just keep myself clean when I go in an office environment. When I have to go back to office in the evening, then I need to have my helmets, my reflector jackets, my tail lights. So these are the things which individually, because they believe in sustainability, they said I will contribute in whatever way. That's my way of contributing towards the city. So that's the the journey. That's the intervention which we had in the space of cycle tour.
You are also, designated as the cycle mayor of Mumbai. Could you just tell us something more about what is a cycle mayor and what are your specific roles and responsibilities in that?
So the bicycle mayor is a leadership program which is led by a Dutch NGO, which is based out of Amsterdam. It's called BYCS. They have a clear mandate, which is 50 by 30. Which means 50% of the commute trip should be converted into cycling by 2030.
Oh.
All of the bicycle mayors globally, there are 100 plus mayors, all working towards the same mandate. In India, there are about 45. For Mumbai, I am the first one. Of course, to qualify as a bicycle mayor, you should have put in a lot of your work or energies into the space of promoting sustainable transportation. So clearly, for me, it was always commute. Purposeful ride from point A to point B, and I've always walked into that space. And I guess that's what was recognized by the Dutch NGO, that she's been putting effort with the with Cycle to Work program, and another program which we came up was with the Me Cycle Rider.
And there's also a current initiative or a tagline, and the program is actually Cycle Chala City Bacha. Can you tell us something more about what is this initiative?
During COVID, also there was no public transportation and people had to travel somewhere, somehow. I think everybody invested in that cycle because fitness and commuting could be taken care of. But that gave globally 35 or more than 35% increase in cyclists across the globe. For us, it was overwhelming because I had never seen so many cyclists, especially the young kids. Everybody picked up cycling after the age of 35 or 40, the midlife crisis, people say. Okay, people pick up running and cycling after that. I've never seen such young lots, chuckling away on a bicycle from society's gang and friends coming together and everything. So that's when we said we need to come up with an initiative which is Cycle Chala City Bacha. Because when you have a momentum, you need to sustain that momentum. And we quickly appointed 24 bicycle councillors across 24 wards of Mumbai. The most important criteria was that you need to live in that ward to be able to engage within the ward. Now, whether you need to put up ward rides in from your wards, that is 24 wards, that's building up capacity, that's sustaining that momentum, that's engaging your youth and kids and women in that ward, so that you have a group activity and that person is not alone in that particular ward or trying to find a cycling group. And that's what we enabled. We also did crowdsourcing data of cycle stands within your ward, because when you have a momentum and when you have visible stands across all of those wards, that's where the authority should feel that this is what we want to give to you to be able to park your bicycle in a secure manner. And that's what we are currently looking at and working towards, to have that secure bicycle parking across Mumbai. So clearly road safety has always been a concern, and I have been working with corporates. Most of the fatalities, the data which we got from the traffic police at Mumbai, was during the leisure, when a cyclist is in the leisure space, and that's where the accidents have happened because the traffic is fast moving. So when a biker or a car motorist is wants to reach quickly in the morning because the roads are empty, the first two people who are are the pedestrians and the cyclists. Having said that, I have interviewed most of the livelihood cyclists because they are the ones who are the invisible cyclists.
And they are there on the road.
They are on the road
throughout
throughout morning, evening, afternoon. You see them on the bicycle. I had to ask them this question because they are the ones I spoke to more than 100 of them. Swiggy, Zomato cyclists also. That have you ever found yourself in a situation where you kind of had any major accidents? The answer was, most of them said no. Only problem which they have ever had was the pothole problem. We never had any fatalities or anybody came close to us or tried to have So I guess it's about the mindset. You need to pick up that bicycle first and actually drive this distance to understand whether it is safe or unsafe.
You have clearly demonstrated that as an individual with a passion for cycling, you have gone way beyond. What are the thoughts or maybe some suggestions that you would like to give to our viewers?
I guess cycling it's about you to take the first step or first pedal. We always say pedal, one pedal at a time. Try short distance commute. It's as simple as that. We're not here to showcase. You just pick up your bicycle, do those 5 or 7 kilometers around your area. It's simple as that. Very clearly, my journey of 10 years, I wouldn't like to I would say change anything. It's been very organic. Because of the organic journey, you understand what it requires to bring about a change in the city. The grassroots level work is very, very important. Clearly, important is to put up a goal. You need to have a vision. Like we have a vision to make Mumbai the cycling capital by 2030. You need to put up the timeline too, even if you have that goal. Look at your neighborhood. Even the kids nowadays, when they reach out to me, I said, just look at your neighborhood, start small, just look around what kind of change you want. And nowadays social media is there to showcase all of that good work which everybody does it. And don't feel, oh, you know what, how can I share because when you share, others get motivated to bring, and that's the rippling effect for every little thing which we do in that space. That's my thought process. It's important thing is to first take that big step.
Yeah.
Big small step.
Thank you, Firoza, and we wish you all the best in your endeavor as far as the 2030 timeline for Mumbai is concerned. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Firoza, for that delightful experience and a peek into your complete strategy for how you would like to make cycling the center stage of public transportation in the years to come. Believe me, I had a lot of fun doing this as I got a chance to interview her, and it was a lot of fun putting this together. Thank you so much once again. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being part of this World Quality Week 2021 celebrations, where we have tried to bring out the theme of sustainability in a very unique, entertaining, and I hope thought-provoking way, where this gives you a lot of ideas for to implement this in our lives and our day-to-day routines. A big thank you to the audience for having logged in and patiently listening to us. Do let us know how you felt about this event, and if there are any suggestions that we could act upon to improve this World Quality Week event. I also thank all our contributors to this event, without which of course it would not have been possible, and for them to take out time from their busy schedules and to put this together so that we could present it in this virtual form. Thank you again to all the contributors from the bottom of our hearts.